Hi everyone and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast. I'm Chrissy, but you know that already. I have a guest episode today. In fact, it's double trouble today. We love two guests. I have got Claire and Anna from Labour and Love London. Hi ladies.
Oh,
Hello, you okay? Happy Friday.
yes, happy Friday. I cannot wait for the weekend.
Oh, so good, so good. Ladies, I'm so pleased that you were able to join me. You were kind enough to have me as a guest on your podcast, and then we wanted to do a flip reverse it, and here you are coming to talk to us on mine. So rather than hear from me, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us what Labour and Love is and how it started?
Right, so we are Labour and Love London, so Claire and Anna, and we started, I suppose, during the pandemic.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Our lives changed dramatically during the pandemic, like many people's did, but mainly our business. And so we used to work in the beauty industry, training brands and coaching them. And after that, there was no products being sent into the UK. So we had to change tack. So we went on to online courses, and we had mainly women signing up wanting to have a side hustle, maybe a beauty product, etc. But what quickly happened from that was that they weren't really talking about business idea or concept. They were like, how do I've actually never had a chance to chat with somebody. How do we juggle it all? How do we juggle work-life balance? And we were like, it was just the pattern it kept on.
Everybody kept saying the same thing. We're like, right, we've got something here. They don't know how to juggle it all.
Yeah.
And we could see how they all wanted to do their side hustle, but they also needed to have a job at the same time, have a side hustle, run a home, do the school run, and everything else that we have to do. So we quickly realized that, well, this is something Claire and I have been doing for over 10 years already, because of running our own business. And we're like, well, let's show people how we manage our time.
Let's bring that strategy that we might use at work, where normally at work we're kind of like calm and in control, but at home it's chaos. Let's bring a little bit of that into the home life. So we did a life coaching course, and then so we could just have that more of that personal connection. But it's not really much different from when we're training businesses, training people.
No. Yeah. We kind of call ourselves work-life organisers or stylists, because we essentially are doing that. We're balancing your work life and your home life and really helping make it, I suppose, work seamlessly or seamless as possible, so that you can do it all, and not feel overwhelmed with it, which is what many people who come to us feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and so much of what you say, and this is, I guess, why we have connected so well, so much of what you talk about and what you say resonates with me and will resonate with my audience. When you were talking just then, I thought that word juggle, right? To me, I don't think of juggling, like a clown juggling balls. And it feels like the word juggling was made for mums.
Yeah. It really was, because that is what we do day in, day out. It's crazy. You're having to juggle your work needs, your life needs, your children's needs, your partner's needs, your external family, because I mean, I actually live on the same road as my mum, so I help my mum, my brother, everyone. So you're not just juggling your own life, you're juggling everybody else's and everything in between. So it really is a juggle.
Yeah, I always think women are a magnet. Caring women, carers are a magnet to just everybody, like all those iron filings coming towards them and just sticking to them. And then suddenly, as you say, your mum's problems might become your own problems, and it just is never ending a list for a woman to do. So we hope we can help with that.
Yeah, that's great. And so who are the typical women that come to you, and what are you've given us that broad overview, but so that the audience can get a real tangible feel for what are the things that you're specifically helping with, like what are the most common problems?
So Anna and I quickly learned it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or a no zillionaire, there are core 4 areas in your life. So there's your relationships, the one with others, with yourself. There's your health and well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally. Then there's your career and finance. And then the fourth part of that is your passion, your purpose, maybe where hobbies sit. And that's really the very basic of how every human operates. And if they want to feel good about life and not overwhelmed, all 4 of those need to be running smoothly, and that all of them are being fed in some way, and that you're spending time with them each week. You're dedicating some time to them.
So what we might get is somebody come to us who's a mum. She's got, I'll give you an example. It could be a small thing or a big thing. The small thing could be a mum came to us and she's got 2 children. She decided she really wanted to start learning a new course. It was a social media course, but she didn't know how to fit it in. She was like, oh, Anna, please help, please help. I just can't fit it all in. So we started chatting to her about everything and had a look at her day to day, what her schedule was like. And there was this little hour before she went to pick up the kids. And I said, well, why can't you in that hour go to the local cafe near the school, sit down, you won't get interrupted because you're not at home, so you don't get distracted by having to do any housework or someone coming through the door or any of that, and do your course for 1 hour just before you go and pick up the kids. And she was like, oh my God, yes. And that's exactly what she did. And it was just a small tweak like that, just somebody else external going, this is where you can fit that in. And that's where we helped her. Or it could be a big change where someone maybe needs to reorganize everything. They might have had a huge life-changing situation where they're like, right, no, I need to get healthy. I want to study again. I've got a new job. It could be everything. And then we do a big shake-up and we look at the whole schedule, what they need to do day to day. And it could be that we say to them, look, you need to save time. And the way to do this, it could be as simple as meal planning and ordering your food so it comes to your door at a certain time, so you're not spending an hour then going out to do the food shop. It could be saying, right, before the kids wake up, that is your prime time for 1 hour by yourself to maybe do in some fitness class or maybe do some study time, and then do a whole overview of every single aspect of their life and where they want to get to.
We also get, and this is increasingly happening, and you'll probably find this with clients, burnout. Burnout is increasing, and that's sometimes when people come to us at that point where they're on their hands and knees and they really can't see the wood for the trees in any of their areas of life. And when we get a client with burnout, it's like, now we need to address this is where you need to go to work and you need HR to sign you off for some time, and we need to do a big reset. And I think sometimes women don't recognize burnouts until physically something happens to them, but they've ignored the mental and emotional signs. But then something that physically happens, because the body in the end will go, stop everything. And then it becomes a huge problem for the entire family. So we'll be like, okay, this is what you need to say to HR. This is how you handle that. And then we're going to very slowly, because you need to heal now. And we slowly build steps back, because it's like maybe when you get somebody with fitness and they've just lost all their fitness, maybe they've had a baby or something, you wouldn't be expecting them to run a marathon a week later. It's baby steps. Which then takes us more into a corporate field as well, because we're helping, with corporates and how corporates can help women in the workplace do this and manage this balance. So it's not just woo-woo we're talking, we're actually like, let's get
practical.
Yeah, and that's so important. Again, that really resonates with me, because that's, I think, where I had got to before I started my business was, the corporate burnout. If we go back to that, Anna, you gave the first example was that small example.
Yeah.
That's something that I found myself, but you're so right. I see with clients that we can find these slices of time. It doesn't even have to be an hour, does it? Sometimes
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It doesn't at all.
It all adds up.
It does. And I call it, and I think we talked about this on your podcast, you know, carving out slices of time.
Yeah.
In the way that you know, you might say, oh, I'll have a small piece of cake. I'll just have a small piece of cake. A small, you know, a small slice of time is still a slice of time, but we're so good at filling that time with all the other stuff and things that we need to do. And I guess that leads on really nicely to my next question, which is, you know, obviously this is the Mum Boss Method podcast. 95% of the women that I help are mums, not all of them. But why do you think that mums and women in general struggle to prioritize themselves and give themselves that slice of time instead of filling it with the washing and the cleaning and everything else?
I mean, there's quite a few answers. It's such a broad thing, but
I think, God, I love this question actually, because I think I'm going back to, it's a little bit, you know, psychoanalytical, but in the sense of, look at how you, as a little girl, how you were told you were good when you helped mummy, or you helped the school teacher with the register, or how, you know, even at work, or even when you're living maybe with flatmates. I knew this from my university days, the female flatmates, we just knew that washing up needed to be done, and bins needed to be taken out, and washing needed to be done. The guys just didn't. And I don't say that about all men. I don't want to say that about all men, but I just know we both have a brother.
Yeah.
We both know from being raised that I was learning how to make a cup of tea much younger than when my brother was, because I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be the good girl.
Yeah.
And like all our toys, Sylvanian families, or the little kitchen, you know, where you're making, or doctors and nurses, but often you were given the nurse's uniform and you were the carer.
Yeah.
So this starts young. This starts really young, and then it's an ingrained pattern. And as you get older, you'll take more and more on. You'll take maybe clubs on at school, at university. When you're at work, you'll take on, I'll handle that, I'll help with that project. But the culmination comes, and it's such a shifting point when you give birth, that suddenly you've not got something that you want to help with, you've got something that needs help. Like you have a physical being that will not survive if you're not totally caring for it. But then you've got all these iron filings that stuck to you of helping other people, being a good girl, and now you're in overwhelm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, you've tipped over the edge.
And then there's that situation where you want to give your child the same, if not more, than what you had. So if you've got spare cash, rather than prioritizing yourself to buy something that you haven't bought in 10 years because you've been sacrificing, you'd rather spend it on them, you know. And it's like, no, you know, it's such a weird pattern. But I think there's a social element as well that's come into play recently. I think with social media, having your house pristine, having it look like a hotel 24/7, you know, there's this you know, shift of women thinking everything has to be perfect all the time, looking at these perfect lives on social media. Well, it just isn't like that, not in real life. You know. And I think all of that really comes to why we don't prioritize ourselves, and we really need to. It's important.
The times like when we hear women chat, you know what they think is a treat? Going to the loo in peace. Like that's actually basic human need. Like you, how else are you gonna do it? Like you actually need to. But you know, we hear mothers saying, or women, I haven't been to the loo today, and I genuinely believe, I don't believe that they're, you know, they're telling the truth. They haven't been to the today, because they would view that as a treat, as a timeout, and it's just like, you haven't performed a basic human need. But you probably don't need to go to sleep. You probably haven't had time to drink some water.
Well, that's it.
It's so true. And I think what it then moves into is we are so overloaded that we then see scrolling TikTok or whatever as like downtime or a treat, or binging something on Netflix as being a treat or downtime. And listen, you know, I didn't feel well yesterday, so I did binge 3 episodes of something on Netflix on the sofa.
It happens.
Right? But that was because that was the way that it made me rest when I wasn't feeling very well. But actually, you know, what's important is quality time and space for you to fill up your cup.
There's a massive difference between resting and numbing out. So mindlessly scrolling is numbing out. It's disassociating from the sheer overwhelm, but it's going to come back again. But your choice yesterday was like, you actively made a choice that I will enjoy this time with Netflix, but you didn't stay there. You actually decided on a time frame, and that made you rest during that time frame, but you weren't mindless about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I think that also stops us is this guilt, right? And I obviously, again, I'm going to talk of mum guilt because the majority of the women that I work with are mums, but it could just be carers guilt or work guilt or just guilt, you know. What advice would you give to mums or women that are suffering with that guilt when it comes to prioritizing themselves, whether it's that slice of time or that little bit of spare cash, or, you know, no, we're going to do this today because that's what's right for me. You know, I'm going to say no to driving you around to 6 different places today.
I look at this in 2 ways. I actually asked my little girl this question, you know, and she said, Mummy needs time out. And there's a few reasons Mummy needs time because she doesn't want me to be snappy. She wants me to be happy. And she knows that if I do my yoga, say in the morning, she knows not to interrupt me until I'm done. And she'll sit patiently and she'll wait until I'm finished. And then we'll have a big old cuddle and then we'll get on with the day. But if I don't do that yoga and I don't have that time out in the morning, I'm not myself the rest of the day. I'm moody, I'm snappy, I just don't feel balanced. And so I think if you've got a child who's slightly older, then they're more understanding, and you can communicate them and say, look, I need my time, whether that be going out, you know, to see my friends, whether that be doing exercise, etc., and letting them allow you to do that and see how it makes Mummy feel. When she comes back, she's happy. So that's a good thing. And Claire said this to me earlier, children copy. We know they copy us. So if they see Mummy doing something that makes her happy, and, you know, they're going to do the same thing when they're older, hopefully.
You're instilling such good values in them. So if that can help negate that guilt, I think we need to step away sometimes, you know, especially when you get overwhelmed, you get very trapped in that day-to-day survivor. Like, if I can just get through today, I'll do it differently tomorrow. And you're getting that right. I'll start again next week, or I'll start, you know, I'll start on the 1st of the month, whatever decision. So think long term. You've got to think long term, and you've got to, so, you know, if there's that element of, like, as you say, Alexis noted, that it's like Mummy's happier when Mummy does something for herself, which means it's good for me, ultimately. Already we flip mum guilt on its head, but with any sort of caring responsibility, whether it falls in work or at home, you can't fill from an empty cup. You can only fill other people's cup if your own's full. Let's just get really practical about that. So you need to sometimes speak to people. If you want to get the best from me, allow me to have some time. So if it's a co-carer, or maybe if you don't have, say, a partner in this, you know, in parenting, but you could have a friend who says, I'm going to step in for an hour, I'll take the kids, you have your moment, and then you take the kids and I'll have my moment. Finding ways, and this means sitting down and having conversations with people, and not holding it all up in your head and trying to juggle from there. Sitting down and getting strategic about it.
And just remember, your children will grow up. They will fly the nest. self-care is part of that independence, and
Mm.
that's going to maintain who you are as an individual, and that is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't lose your passion for life. Don't let your children see you lose your passion for life.
No. No.
Because that's not good for them. It's not
No.
good for anybody. It's not good for the world. You
No.
know.
No. There's a couple of things there that I just want to pull out. So the first one being, you know, that our children are going to grow up. You know, one of the things that I really want for my son is for him to go into the world, whatever his choices are when he leaves home, whether that's uni or whatever. I want him to be able to make, you know, more than pasta with ketchup for his lunch, right? I want him to be able to make a cup of tea. If he wants to eat pasta and ketchup because that's a choice, fine. Yeah. You know, yesterday when I was not feeling well, he made me a cup of tea and walked around to the shop and got me some biscuits. I mean, I think he wanted the biscuits himself, but he under the guise of getting them for me, right? So there's that, you know, we are bringing up small adults. Do we want to send them out into the world unable to then care for themselves and care for other people? Because by showing them how to care, you know, the practical things of this is how you load a dishwasher, this is how you know, make a cup of tea, but also, you know, them to then get into relationships, whether they're romantic relationships or friendships, like being able to make someone a cup of tea when they come and visit them, like that's hugely important. And then the second piece that I wanted to pick up on when you said it, you know, because some of the women that I know listen to this are single parents, etc. But asking for help is so important. You know, how beautiful is it to have a friendship with someone? And one of my clients does this so well. She'll take the girls for a couple of hours and then they swap. Like, just like you said, you know, it doesn't have to, you don't have to have an other half to help you do this. Friends, a circle of friends, you know, it takes a village is never truer in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do it quite often, especially during the summer holidays. Some people haven't been able to go away on holiday and they've been stuck maybe working from home with 2 or 3 kids, and it can just drive you crazy sometimes. You do need to have some time out. So when I did get back from holiday, literally the next day, my daughter did have a play date. And the next day after that, I said, give me your child. I will take her for the whole day, like a school day, and she can have lunch here and you can just do what you need to do, because I could see that mum was frazzled. She'd just had enough. You know, she'd been through a lot. The poor little girl had been bitten by a dog, and she'd been, you know, just frazzled, completely frazzled. And you have to help people out like that, because it's important to have that time to yourself.
How can be helped? Like, you know, an equal measure. And it's, again, what valuable lessons that is for your child. It's just huge.
For sure. Okay, so knowing that what you do professionally is you help with women with that juggle, what are your top 3 tips for the women and mums listening to help them prioritize their needs?
I think number 1 is schedule it in, because sometimes if you don't have it scheduled, you just don't do it. So I work well with schedules. It doesn't matter if it's a schedule on your phone, on paper, whatever schedule you use, schedule whatever time you want in so it gets done, like it is your job. It is your job to have self-care, so schedule it in.
Be intentional with your time. I find that if you're intentional with your time, people respect your time more as well. That's
sure.
and so that helps create time if people are respectful of your time. That's a big tip.
Sure.
I would say learn to say no. It's and I know the sentence sometimes as women we often say no because but I will do tomorrow when you're even busier. No can be a complete sentence. You don't need to justify it. It's just a no. Don't be rude, but like, just it's a no. And I think I think especially when you start to have children, family, again, it's those iron filings coming towards the magnet. It's the in-laws popping round, but it's not just popping round, is it? Because it's extra washing up, and I didn't actually have enough milk out. I now need to go and do a shop that I didn't know I had to plan in. Or friends pop round with their kids or something like that. And I think families tend to overschedule themselves these days. That's something I find when we go through our clients' diary.
They feel like they need to keep the children occupied all the damn time.
Yeah, and if you've got multiple children and they have 6 things each a week, that's 24 things a week. That's actually over 3 things a day that you might have to get in the car and get to. That's I can't even compute that. That's bigger than bringing in planes into Heathrow. It's huge. So, and I think the thing is, and when you do overschedule as a family, guess who bears the brunt of that? Guess who bears the brunt of thinking, well, they might need a change of clothes because they might get wet, or they might wet themselves. They're not quite out of nappies yet and into pants, still a bit unreliable. They do need their snacks. They do need this. You're mobilizing an army unit essentially, and it just sometimes you've got to deschedule.
Just say no. Be at home. The kids need rest time. They need to play with their toys. We've all got hundreds of toys in the room that they never play with. They've got to have a day to actually just sit and play with the toys and do nothing, and let them do nothing. It's healthy for them to do nothing.
And then I'd say the third tip is what we will get: ask for help and accept help. That is the biggest thing. People really struggle with accepting help because they feel it's a failure on their part. It's not. It takes a village. It takes a community. You know, having a child, being a family, or being a carer is not solo expedition. It's, you know, it's not walking up a mountain by yourself. You've got to have people around you, and it's better for your children if there's more eyes on. They're safer. Everybody's safer.
Absolutely. I love those. And I've been talking to a lot of people this week about allow your kids to be bored sometimes, why are we trying to fill every single minute of their day? Because sometimes we're bored.
Absolutely.
Boredom is a part of life.
Absolutely.
You know, it might be a lot of life actually. Do you know what I mean? We've just got into this again. I think this is social media a little bit. It's ramped up this sensation that we should always be doing something and having something and being somewhere. And it's not life's not about that.
Let them go outside and make mud packs and just slap it on the wall. It's okay. You know,
sometimes that cuddles on the sofa. And if the only thing achieved that day was your child knowing that they were loved, I'm sorry, you've moved mountains. That's all I'd say to that.
Okay, so before we share where people can find you then, final question: how do each of you as busy working mums prioritize your self-care? So what does that look like for each of you?
Oh, well, for me, it starts early. So before anyone gets up, so I'm not harassed, I have to do my yoga. That's the first thing I actually do. And then I'll get on with my day. But what I'll do and have planned already for the week, so I'll do a weekly plan, and I will schedule in, because I know where I have to work, what jobs I have to do and when. I will schedule in time for a walk, 20-minute run. I will schedule in time for workouts during the week. So for me, health is very important. I always meal plan every single week. So for me, that is so important. And I love cooking. So Claire knows I'll do my meal plan. I'll go, it's good for Claire. But I even scheduling things like hobbies. Like if I wanted to pick up piano again, so I'll schedule time in. If I know I've got a 20-minute slot in the afternoon, no one's around, preschool pickup or something, I'll do it. But it is, for me, that's how I prioritize my time. It's scheduling it in, doing it before everyone wakes up, but making sure things are scheduled. But the other thing that I think is important for, self-care is actually having time out with your partner. So I do make sure that I have a date night, even if it's just once a month. I will do it. I mean, I spent the whole night. I actually got childcare. My mum took her for the whole night. It's like, woohoo, childcare for the whole night, got a night off. You know, I didn't get home till 3 a.m. It was a blur.
Love it.
I'm not
Well, you want to.
But it's important to go back, because, you know, it's memories. The partner and I were then like, oh my God, do you remember when we used to do this? You know, we even got a cheeky McDonald's on the way home. Yeah, I know it's bad for you, but it's all those memories. And it's just, you know, you have to have time with your partner and your friends. So I do schedule things in with friends, maybe every month, every 3 months, but definitely that's my self-care, and that's scheduling.
And I'm the same as Anna. I'm morning before anybody else's chaos creeps into my day. Definitely scheduling in hobbies. And then the other thing I put as my top tip is I watch how I'm feeling quite closely. So if I'm starting to feel, and the way I can notice when I'm overwhelmed is I start to get very perfectionist about things, and I'll start kind of like cleaning my knicker drawer. I start adding on really random tasks that are making already a busy schedule even busier, but they're really not, they're just not really important things to do. And but that's how stress plays out in me. So I start to overdo, you know, like when a child gets overtired before bed, but they actually just need sleep. That's how I am. So and then I will be like, I'm feeling irritated, I'm feeling naggy and snappy, I'm having really negative self-talk in here. Oh, I've got too much on my plate. So I really recognize that within myself now. And I'm like, right, stop, get everything down on a piece of paper, what you need to do. Okay, you don't need to do those 4 things. 2 of those things can go to somebody else. Oh, I'm now left with a core 3. Perfect, I can do that. And I feel, that's how I do it.
I can't recommend enough. You know, one of the most underrated things that I think I've done in the last 5 years is get up before everyone else. You know, and I always say to people, you don't have to be the extreme of me. Like, I get up at 5:15. It does not have to be
same as you.
It doesn't have to be that early, and it can just be 10 minutes before everyone else, but it is golden time. No one needs you. It's your time. So I'm with you on that.
And you don't even have, like Anna and I, we do it a form of exercise, or I might meditate, or, you know, I might read something that I just feel is a good thing to read and it nourishes my mind. But actually sometimes just sitting there with a cup of tea, looking outside and looking at the sun and the clouds, and just actually getting a bigger perspective, because we're always all down on our phones, just looking up and out. Just 20 minutes of that, or even 10 minutes, you say, I feel like a different person.
Definitely.
So
I agree. I love it. Thank you so much. So before we close off, where can people find you? Where do you hang out most, and why should they come and find you? Why should they follow you and check out all of your content?
Well, they can find us on our website, labourandlovelondon.com, or we're mainly on our Instagram page, which is labourandlove_London. And if they want to get tips and tricks about how to save time, how to actually, you know, balance your work and your life, that's where they'll find everything. We do videos, we have quotes, we have everything you want on there. We've even got on our website you can download templates, you know, so you can actually do planners for the week, for the day, even for 3 to 5 years. So we've got it all.
We've got mini lessons on there, so if you want to just download, we've got like our four tips for going into your diary and going, this is how we can make time in your diary. So if you didn't, you know, want to actually meet with us, and you're just like, I just need to kind of like figure this out myself at the moment, that's a really great starting point. But often we get a lot of women DMing us, we'll always get back to you, because you know what, we don't want to know there's a stress person out there, because sometimes it's just a word or a sentence that can make somebody feel so much better and like they've got this. So we're here. In whatever way you need us, we're here. We make time for you.
Perfect. That's great. So everyone go and follow Anna and Claire. I'll make sure that all of the links are in the show notes. Ladies, it's been a pleasure to have you with me today. Thank you so much. Lovely chatting to you.
We'll be chatting to you again soon, I bet.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. So everyone check out Anna and Claire on Instagram is where they hang out most, but I'll put the website address in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, ladies. Have an awesome weekend, won't you?
Okay, you too. Make time for yourself.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.